Call your sponsor. Call your sponsor.
Hang up is you will get rejection along the way. There are people that take the rejection as God's will. There are people that also keep going. So
go ahead.
Well, I'm just like, and I'm not talking about me specifically. For me, I've got it worked out. God and I are good.
Yeah.
I don't question this. I get frustrated with other people who take the first sign of rejection as God's will. That doesn't compute to me.
Yeah. I totally hear what you're saying, where it's like, guess that's not it. And it's like, no, you can get a second opinion. You can, because I think the thing for me, what happens in 3 is because it leads into 4, right? Where the actor, the director, the producer, the show doesn't go well. And then what happens is I get butthurt because no one's doing things the way I want them to do things, right? Like that for me is the sequence and the steps. And then I get to look at my resentments, fears, because I'm playing God is what happened. I think the thing that we don't talk about in program is that expectations, like we hear in the rooms, expectations are resentment waiting to happen, right? Which for me is victim role. And there's this whole other thing which we don't talk about in the rooms, which I do share with sponsees, is that I can make a request.
Yeah.
I can ask for what I want. I can take action and not be this victim, which I think is what we're saying the same thing of like, guess it's not God's will. But it's like, I can ask for what I want. Do you know what I mean? I can take necessary steps, i.e. affirmative action is what step 3 calls for.
Yeah. And I do it now today as I let go of my attachment to the results, right? So I experienced this when I applied to Austin Film Festival many, many years ago with one of my screenplays. And that one was really important to me because it was called like the Writers, the Writers Festival, because all the writers wanted to be at that one. It just was high caliber. And plus it was in Texas, which is where I was from. And I remember getting my first rejection letter from them and like bawling on a floor, curled up fetal position. And my husband at the time said, "Welcome to screenwriting. Like, it's a bunch of rejection letters. This is what it is." And so I applied again and I reworked the script and I applied and I did it for 5 years. And I got to the point where the rejection letter would come and I'd be like, okay, whatever. I let go of my attachment to the result. And then one year I got the letter and it says, "We're pleased to announce." And I was like, wait, none of my rejection letters have gone this way. And I got 2 screenplays in the same year and I was in the top 5 and they flew me out there in the hotel and all of that. But the point is, I didn't get that first rejection letter and crawl on the floor and go, oh, well, that's not God's will for me. I kept going. I just let go of my attachment to the results.
Yeah, I'm totally on board. I get that. Yeah. And there I guess also too is what's coming up is what is my relationship to a no and a failure? Do I just go, oh well, or is it like, no, I can still keep going, right? Like, I don't know what, like motivational, whatever, we see all these little things on wherever, and it's said like there is no failure, just quitters or something.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it doesn't end. It only ends when I stop taking action, right? Which is like a program, right? Like I need to continue taking action.
Right. And to your point, like, yes, if I am going about all that and gossiping about other people and putting them down so I can get to the top and like calling the people at Austin Film Festival and trying to see like who can I bribe money to and all that to get to that outcome, that is self-will. But doing it and pursuing it, even though I got rejection letter after rejection letter and letting go of my attachment to the results, that to me is when I've done what third step says, which is I've aligned my will, my thoughts with God's will, which are loving thoughts. Yeah. And then I let go.
I will agree with that. I mean, that is my experience too. I think I will make a distinction between, it was just it's on the tip of my brain and then it escaped. It literally escaped.
because it wasn't God's will. Yeah.
It's not God's will.
Correct me. Yeah.
Well, it wasn't about correcting. It was like this distinction of basically, I forgot, but it may or may not come back. We'll see.
But I like what you were saying about the install buttons. To me, that goes on the same ick, if you could say, in the room. Everybody blaming everything on their parents, which I really have to watch this because I did this for a good 25 years in the rooms. It was all Nikki's fault. If Nikki had only done better, I would not be an alcoholic.
Yeah. And then when did that shift for you?
ACA, not till ACA. When I go in there and they talk about the loop and how, you know, my parent was my God, and I put from a certain age, and I didn't have the tools to go take care of myself or verbalize, and so the fact that she was neglectful of me, I took on as my fault, which created a lot of, I must be doing something wrong that she doesn't want to take care of me. And that's what children do. Like psychologists have proven, you know, children will make them the responsible bad party because it's too hard for their brain to conceive that this person sent to take care of them doesn't love them. They'd rather think that they're doing something wrong than to think that parent doesn't care about them.
Dr. Becky, I mean, she was on Huberman.
Oh,
And I literally like was like, okay, I'm just gonna listen to this on repeat for 3-hour episode. Here we go.
all-star cast, dude.
Yeah, self-blame, self-doubt, shame. Like that's what it's there for me when nothing gets. Yeah, when my parents are dysfunctional, which is whatever. I think John Rogers is 99% of the people. Oh, that's what I wanted to share is, so I guess we hit a snag early when it was like, because I was saying it was like peace of mind, serenity. But I think that there's a difference between getting a no and having a feeling, but still taking contrary action and continuing to pursue.
Give me an example. I'm not understanding.
So I guess there was this thing of like, someone applies for a job, they don't get it. Up, guess that's God's will, right? Versus, no, it kind of sucks to feel rejected, but that doesn't mean that I shouldn't still move forward. So there's going to be feelings involved.
Right. Oh, yeah. I mean, I feel like that goes without saying. That you should feel your feelings through a situation. You know, in my example, I did get numbed out to the rejection and was able to just let go by the 4th year. Like when I saw it, like, okay, whatever, you know. I let go of my attachment to the result. But yeah, no, I feel like we do have to have our feelings as we go along. That's a good point.
Because I think that maybe that's the bypass. Like, you know, it's not God's will, you know, where like, well, it's an easy checkout, but there's actually feelings that need to be dealt with of getting rejected.
Oh my gosh, I think you just solved what the ick is that it's an offloading of feelings to God. And it makes me mad. Like, you know, feel your feelings of it. Stay in it. Don't just, not God's will. It's God's will. Okay. And it's like, okay, that's not, I don't know. It's not processing to me, but maybe they are.
No, I hear.
Who am I to judge, you know?
Well, we can. I mean, I had a sponsor that used to say, they say stick with the winners, and if you don't take people's inventories, how do you know who the winners are?
Exactly. Yeah, I love that one. And not only that, we have a whole podcast to judge, so I guess we get to.
We don't like the button. I don't like the buttons. You don't like the God's will when it's used in that way, and we're fully aligned. It's that we have our own will, and it's that I'm just not self-will run riot. I do consider what my gifts are, what my talents, what I do want to do. And then I take action towards it, but I'm not mowing everyone down in the way, like we've talked about to get to whatever. There's a higher power involved.
Well, and I think as I learn more in ACA, more self-responsibility, the more it's almost that thing when you learn something and then you get 20/20 vision onto everybody else's character defects. And I think that's what it is too, is that, I'm learning that only taking responsibility within is the way. And so when I hear people doing it outside of themselves, I'm just like, oh my God, you don't even know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get that. This was wonderful. We're at our final 5, and I've got a question.
Yay!
What was your form of play as a child, and how has that influenced you?
Oh, that's so good. I like to dance and lip sync songs as a child. And I also like to go outside and play. And I was very much the director when I would go outside and play. Like, no, you're not going to be the goalie. You're going to be this, telling all the other kids how to behave. But in my alone time, it was the lip syncing and dancing in the living room and feeling like so myself and happy. And now that's what I do when I'm not feeling connected, is I put on Prince 1999, because that was one of the songs that I used to play, and just lip sync, and there you go. How about you?
That's beautiful. So outside play with other kids, I would always want to be, we would all be superheroes, and I wanted to be Wonder Woman. With the lasso and all
the wristband.
The wristbands with out, and then the twirl. And then inside it was a lot of fantasy. I had Matchbox cars, and I would just like make up my own little world of going to work and going to and just like all over the house with these cars on the floor. And that was kind of like my game. And how has that influenced me? I mean, today, I guess, that is my number one escape in fantasy, not with the Matchbox cars, but to like literally like dissociate and go somewhere else. I remember being on this meditation retreat, and it was silent, no cell phone, no masturbation, no journaling, no reading, like you checked in everything. And I remember just making up stories about every single person there. It's a really hot guy. Like one day I was like, oh my God, he's like a CEO of a surfboard company, and he's like an amazing surfer. Then the next day I was like, no, he's a porn star. Oh yeah.
So good. That is so
spiritual. So spiritual.
Absolutely. You're using your imagination, God wants that. God's will.
Definitely.
God's will.
God's thoughts. Totally. I love it.
All right, darling. We have done it again. You guys are welcome. And go call your sponsor. Thank you, Sam.
Thanks, Missy.
Bitch, call your sponsor. Call your sponsor. Call your sponsor.
Send us an email with comments, questions, or concerns bcysponsor@gmail.com.
Don't forget to rate 5 stars.